Welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
And here is the screen share. And here we are. So, of course, we're in the midst of this visit by the angels to Lot, and they are telling him that they've taken him outside and they've told him to flee to the mountains. And we understand that to mean actually to flee to Abraham, to run back to Abraham. Vayomer Lot alehem. So Lot said to them, Al na Adonai, please do not, O Lord. And you notice this little circle here, and that refers to this over here, which is Kadosh. And Kadosh means that this Adonai, although he might normally talk to those angels as my lords, right? This does not mean this. This means to God, to God. And Rashi's going to reflect that. Here we are. Alna Adonai, please Adonai. And this is from Tractate Shavuot, about oaths, 35. Rabotenu Amru, our sages said, Shem Ze Kadosh, that this name, this is actually the Holy One. Shene'emar bo lachayot et nafshi, because he is going to talk about giving himself life, giving his soul life. Mi sheyesh beyado lahamit ulachayot, the one who has under his power the ability to both kill and to give life. V'targumo ba'avan kan Hashem, please now, O Lord. And here we are. There, it's right here up in the Targum. So there's a translation or a version that says Ribonai, which means my masters. But here we go. There's another nusach that says Hashem, right? God. So going on here, Alna Tomru Elai, do not say to me, Lihimalet Hahara, to have to flee to the mountain. Na is Lashon Bakasha. It has the connotation of supplication. Supplication. I believe that's it on the Rashis. No, okay, yeah. All right, we'll go back here. Hine na matzah avdecha chen be'enecha. Behold, your servant has found grace or favor in your eyes. V'tagdel chastacha, and I believe it's saying, and may your kindness, or may your kindness grow, asher asita imadi, which you have performed with me, la'chayot nefnashi, to give me life. Here's the la'chayot, right? V'anochi lo uchal lehimalet, but I am not able to escape hahara, to the mountain. Pen tidbakani hara'a vamati, lest the evil overtakes me or clings to me and I die. So let's take a look at this interesting interpretation, as you will see. Pen tidbakani hara'a, lest the evil overtake me or cling to me. Keshayiti el etzel ansei Sodom, when I was living near the people of Sodom, Haya HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, Haya Ro'eh Ma'asai, the Holy One, blessed be He, could see my actions, U'Ma'aseh B'nei Ha'ir, and the actions of the inhabitants of the city, V'Hayiti Nir'at Sadik, and compared to them, I was a tzaddik, ukidai lehinatzel, and I was in other words, I was worthy of being rescued. Ukesha'avo etzel tzaddik. Remember where we understood that fleeing to the mountain meant fleeing to Abraham because that's where he was living, right? But when I come to a righteous person, ani kerasha, I'm going to appear as an evil person by contrast. And we have another example of this. V'chein amra hatzarfatit. Okay, so also the Tzarfatit, the woman from Tzarfat, said Eliyahu to Elijah, and this is from Kings 1, chapter 17. Ki bat Eli, did you come to, or when you, since you've come to me, the haskir et avoni, okay, to make notice of my iniquity. Ad shelo bata etzli, until you came to me, Haya HaKadosh Baruch Hu ro'eh masai, the Holy One, blessed be He, saw my actions, umaseh ami, and the actions of my people, v'ani tzaddiket beinehem, and I would appear to be a righteous person amongst them. Umisha bata etzli, but since you've come to me, the fi ma'asecha ani rasha, but compared to your actions, I am a wicked person. So this is, I think, an interesting sort of concept, really, that obviously righteousness and wickedness are not necessarily not in relationship to one another, and how one is viewed in relationship to other people, and how whether or not you're considered righteous or not. David.
Yeah, so was two questions. Well, one, yeah,
Yes.
two questions. One was Lot worried he was going to get ostracized? I mean, is that what he's really saying? You know, because I don't want to go there because I'm going to be judged as evil and now I'll be ostracized.
Well, I don't even know if it's necessarily ostracized. I think it has more to do with punished, that he would have to face serious punishment, and adversity. And here he was considered, compared to the people of Sodom, his actions, even though he was far from righteous, as we've already seen and as we're going to see again, nevertheless, they were so bad, right?
Right. Compared to them, he's good. But what would he have gotten punished for?
Well, we don't know exactly. We're not told. We're just understand that. By the way, there's a famous sort of rabbinic joke about the rabbi who had a funeral to do, and he knew that this person was really not a nice person, and there was nothing anybody had to say that was nice about the person, and he had to give a eulogy. And so when he got up to give the eulogy, he said, I understand that so-and-so wasn't considered a very nice person. But he said, but compared to his brother, he was a saint. So this reflects this comment on the Rashi's part here. You said you had a second question.
No, we'll defer that. Okay, it's not important. Go, please.
Yeah, no, there's nothing specific being told here, other than he would face, divine ire, I suppose.
Okay. Thanks.
You bet.
When we read it today,
yes,
in my modern current response is that he couldn't face himself in that, when he was less than, or he judged himself or saw in the mirror that he was less than those who he lived among, where they say, where there are no men, where there are no men, make yourself one. Right. So that he, in the situation where he was, had perhaps that he could think to himself, I've made myself a good man.
Yes.
Do that in this other situation, so he couldn't bring himself to go do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a little bit that one can unpack on this. One is that I think the whole notion is how influenced we are by the society and the company we keep and, who's around us. I think that's a very serious issue in this whole story of Lot and where he chooses to go, because he can benefit financially from being in a place where there's wickedness. And I think there's a great point that the Torah is trying to make there. So, in other words, part of his righteousness is that he didn't succumb to the evil that was surrounding him and the evil behavior. And by the way, I mean, I I've been reading, when I read the book Enough, right, the influence of that particular world in terms of not telling the truth or hiding the truth when you have to give testimony, and the rationalizations that are given to behave in a really awful kind of way. So on the one hand, it's, as you were sharing what you were sharing, Judith, it occurred to me that that really was something, the very fact that he was saying this was a certain recognition of himself. And that in itself is something good. In other words, being able to recognize your shortcomings. But on the other hand, he was saying that he couldn't come up to Abraham's standards, and perhaps, wasn't even capable of trying really hard, which I think would be in his favor. So, but yeah, I really love what you had to say there. So the point, though, is that we're going to see. Here's what he's asking for. Hine na ha'ir hazot. Behold, please, there is this city, krova lanus shama. It is close to flee there. Vehi mitzar, and it's so little. It's a small little city. Imaltana, let me escape there. Shama, there. Halo mitzarhi, it is so very small. Utechi nafshi, that I may live. Right? That literally it says my soul may live. But here it basically says that I'll be able to survive. So we're going to get into some chronology here. And I actually created a sheet which I will see if I'll try and share this with you and see if I can clarify this. So let me make sure I can find that sheet. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to open up an application here. Hopefully I can. Okay. Well, let me go back into the meeting. Okay. Although I'm going to have to do this. Sorry. Let me see what I can do. All right. I may have to hunt for this. I thought I had it available, but apparently I don't. So let me see what I can do eventually. Let me get into the Rashi, and let's do that. All right. Okay. Here we are. Here hazot krova. This city is close. And this is from Tractate Shabbat, page 10b. Krova, but when it says close or near, it's not in the normal sense of near. So we see how the tradition is taking this in a different direction. Krova yeshivata. Okay, in other words, its settlement is near in terms of time. It's recently settled. Okay. So here we go. Nityashva mikarov. It was settled recently. Forgive me. I now have something else happening, and I can't see my own text. So give me a moment and I'll see what I can do about that. There we go. All right. Lefichach, and for this reason, lo nitmal'a seita. We've had this expression before, and it means its load, sa'ah is its measure is not filled. In other words, there's this idea that God will tolerate a level of wickedness and injustice, and at a certain point, it tips the scale. And at that point, there is going to be consequences. And what it's saying is that since they haven't been around that long, they haven't gotten to a point where those consequences have to come about. And that's how he means. So, nitmal'a seta adayin, not yet. Lo nitmal'a seta adayin. Uma hi krivata, and what do we mean by its nearness? Midor haflaga, we're talking about from the generation of the splitting up, and that is the scattering of the nations, remember, in connection with the Tower of Babel. Shenitbalgu ha'anashim, that people were scattered. V'hitchilu lehityashev, and so after that point, the next year they were starting to settle. Ish bimkomo, each person in his place, literally. Vehi haita, so this happened. Bishnat mot Peleg. This happened the year that Peleg died. Peleg, of course, is an ancestor of Abraham. Umisham va'adkan, and from that time, when Peleg died, to this particular moment, Tzadik Bet Shana, it is 92 years. It took 92 years. Okay, and here goes the chronology, and let me see if I'm capable of here it is. Okay, good. So I'm going to try and
mine says 52 years.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Tzadik Bet. No, it is 52. It looks like a Tzadik Bet. Okay, so it is Nun Bet. Notice this, it's because this little thing. So it's a misprint, and I'm going to put that in here. Okay, we're going to see. Let me put this in. And I'm just going to, let me do this. Okay. And put this around here. Yes, sorry, 52 years. And I'll just read this, and then I'm going to try and see if I can add to the share. So let's see. Okay. Shepeleg mate bishnat memchet Avraham, because Peleg died in the 48th year of Abraham's life. Ketzad, how is this work out? Peleg chai acharei holidu et Reu reish tet shana. Peleg lived after he sired Reu. Reu was his son, 209 years. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to start a new share. Okay, here we are. And I'm going to see if I can do this. There we are. Are you able to see this? It says generations. Let me know. Can you see it?
Yes.
Good. So here we are, Peleg. He lived 209 years. Okay, let's go. I'm going to see if I can do this in such a way that I can switch back and forth. Let me see. Okay, I don't know if I can, but I will try. Okay, so, but here we are. This is the chronology, right? So essentially, okay, let's see how Rashi puts it. Okay. Did you see the switch? Were you able to see it? I switched the share, and you can see the Hebrew again now?
Yes.
Good, okay. All right. So there's the 209 years. Say mehem lamed bet keshenolad sarug. So let me see if I can do this. No, that's not working. Okay. All right, let me see this. Okay, so I'm going to have to try and see if this will work. Yeah. Okay, you can see it now, right? So
yes,
there's the 32 years. Okay, when after Sarug was born. Sarau, of course, must have been 32 years old when Serug was born. So subtract 32 from 209 and you get 177 years. And then essentially we're going to see the same thing. So Serug was 30 years old when Nahor was born. Subtract 30 from 177, you got 147. And likewise with Terah. Here we are seeing Abraham's genealogy here, right? So basically, Peleg has 48 years to live until he passes, right? He lived another 48 years after Abraham was born. And then the year that Peleg died, the population of the world is divided, and the next year people spent repopulating the world. So we also know that when Sodom was destroyed, Abraham was 99 years old. How do we know that? Because the following year, Isaac was born, and Abraham was 100 years old, okay? So if we take 47 from 99, we get 52, okay? And Zoar was built 1 year after Sodom, right? Because, so 51 years.
Why 47 instead of 48?
Oh, because of the following year, right? Because they didn't start building it until, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Remember, this is what he was telling us, that after Peleg died, that was when the next year was when people started to repopulate the world. So that was the point at which they started. So that's why. Does that make sense?
I think so.
So this is after Babel?
Yes, this is after Babel.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
And Rashi's going to tell us this. I hope this little chart was helpful.
No, I mean Peleg is
right.
Or in that generation.
In that generation, correct.
Right. Okay.
After the trial of Babel. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. Let's take a look here. Okay. So Lamed Bet Kishenolad Srug, when Srug was born. Umi Srug ad Shenolad Nahor, and Nahor is of course the son of Srug. Lamed, 30 years. He was 30 years old. Hare Samach Bet. So we're adding things up here, okay? So now we have 62. Umi Nahor ad Shenolad Terach Kaf Tet. So if you add 29 to 62, you get Sadik Aleph. 91. Umisham ad shenolad Avraham ayin. So again, each one, we know how old they were when they gave, we have this chronology after Noah, right? Kishenolad Avraham ayin. We're talking about 70 years. Hooray. So if you total all that up, you get Kuf Samach Aleph, 161. 10 Lahem Mem Chet. If you add another 48 to that, Hooray Reish Tet. So you're going to get the 209 years that Peleg lived after he sired Serug. And that year was the year of the splitting up. Sodom, and when Sodom was destroyed, Haya Avraham ben Sadik Tet Shana, Abraham was 99 years old. Hare midor haflaga ad kan nun bet shana. So we have now 52 years to this point. V'tzor achareh ichara yeshivata, and Zoar was delayed in its habitation, right, in its being settled. Achareh yeshivat Sodom, after Sodom was settled. V'chavroteha. Sodom v'chavroteha, Sodom and its associated cities, which would be Sodom, Amorah, Admah, and Sfoyim. Okay, those 4 cities. Shana Achat, 1 year later. Hu shene'amar imaltana. That is what is meant when he said, "Let me escape to there." Let's see if there's any more Rashi on this. Yes. So it says, interestingly, he says, and this is a remez here, na b'gematria. When you look at the word na, in the gematria of Na. Nun is 50 and Aleph is 1, so we have 51 years also. Halo mitzarhi, indeed it is very small, okay, literally. V'halo avonoteha mu'atim. And again, when he's talking about the size, he's not talking about the physical size, he's talking about its level of sinfulness, that its iniquities are small, v'yachol ata lahanicha, and so you should be able to spare it. V'atachi nafshi, and that I may live in it. Zehu midrasho. And Rashi now tells us this is the midrash of it. Sorry. Here, hold on a second, please. Okay. Upshuto, but the straightforward meaning, shel mikra, of the script of the text, halo ir ktanahi, is simply that it's a very small city. For anashim ba ma'at, and there aren't that many people living in it. Ein lecha lahakid, so it's not worth your being so punctilious about it, right? To be so strict. Im tanichena, should you leave it alone. So that I can dwell there, so that I can live there. And that's where we're going to stop today. And please God, we will be able to continue this. I certainly hope we can. So we're on to the Ravi portion here. Okay. All right. And I'm going to stop the show.
So it'll make sense. It as it is.
Yes, right. No, it's sort of an interesting way to push the meaning of the sentence. Incidentally, there is a town in Ohio, a little town in Ohio called Zoar, Zoar, and it was named after this town. And I don't know if it had to do. I think it is. I'm trying to think of who lived there, and I'm just blocking. Whether I think it could be Shakers, I think, and yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
It says here radical pietist, which is a utopian Christian community.
Yes. Oh, did you look up the town?
I sure did.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. That was quick.
Google.
And they named it after this. It's sort of interesting. We were living
town destroyed eventually.
I don't know that it was. I as you'll see. I mean, we'll see. I don't want to give away too much before next year, but
is it near the Dead Sea?
It's in that general. It's in the Jordan Valley there, in that general area, the plain of the Jordan. So I don't know that there's any archaeological, archaeological places there, but at least biblically speaking, it was not destroyed. It wasn't destroyed.
They had some earthquakes around there 2,000 years ago. I don't know if that is anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there could be a meteorite, could be volcano. And when and this is a spoiler alert, but as Lot's wife, who we never know her name, has been and we should know her name, has been turned into a pillar of salt. Anybody see the figures from Pompeii? Yeah, I mean, they're talking about sulfur and stuff like that, and it's
Yeah, Golda, I never made that connection, but that is
I just did it. I just wrote down like today, like Pompeii. It's like
very interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
it sounds like Pompeii.
It does.
Yes. So I'm going to stop the recording at this point, and Shabbat Shalom.